Hey guys, Jeff Westfall here with Trapping Dummy for Instructors number 4, JKD 4.3. So we're still working the JKD fourth set. When we get to the next set, or the next section of it. Now this is an interesting section because this section is in one form or another in all 20 of the sets, all 10 of the Jun Fan sets and all 10 of the JKD sets. The difference is that in the Jun Fan sets, you do the movement once. You have an entry and 1 repetition. In the JKD sets, you have an entry and then 4 interlocking repetitions of the same move. That'll make more sense as we go. But once you've learned this, you've learned part of every single one of the 20 sets. So you cover a lot of ground with this. Now, the first tool that we're going to use in this one is called Guangsao. That means plow hand. So if you can envision a plow as it's slicing through the earth and you're right in front, right? That's the energy you want to have. You want to have an energy of coming into the opponent. You're not going sideways like this. You're going straight into him. The upper arm, this is a scissor Guangsao, meaning that some people refer to this as Guangsao, right? And you could punch with it. And that's certainly valid. That's in some of the sets. But in this case, while my one arm is doing the low part, my upper arm is doing this inward Tansao type of motion. In both of these, the energy is not slamming sideways, but driving into the opponent's center. So from here, I'm sliding that straight in. I could use a lot of different footworks. I can just shift. My weight goes over to the right side because that's the side of his arms that I'm on. Then from there, you're going to flow into, let's talk about each arm in turn. This arm is going to execute another technique called a Hyunsao, and that means circling hand. It's literally circling wrist, but that's okay. It circles so that I start on the outside line of engagement and I end on the inside. Now, proper elbow position on this is really important. By the way, going back to Guangsao, get your elbows out away from your body. Don't be back here. Your energy is projecting out into the target. Now with my elbow, I want to pay attention that I don't allow it to do this. I don't want it to move in space. As I rotate my wrist, I want to minimize how much my elbow is moving. So I end up here. Now, I can do a half Hyunsao and end up with my hand on top and slide into my Wangjern, my palm strike, along the top surface of the arm. Or I can do a full Hyunsao and go to the bottom and slide along the bottom of the arm into a Hyunsao, into a Wangjern, side palm strike, to the body below the arm. In both cases, I'm using the arm as a guide to slide in. So the next part with this hand can either look like that or like that. At the same time that that's happening, the Guangsao is going to convert into an inward engagement. You could call it a Fuxao if you wanted to, although your hand's not going to be in that position for long enough to see it. Some people would call this an inward Tansao. I don't care what you call it. So from here, as I'm circling with this hand, this arm is coming up and engaging as I circle. What it's really doing is I'm getting both hands moving parts of my opponent's body, and these don't necessarily have to just be arms. Moving parts of my opponent's body, with both arms, to one side. I split up into his center, and then I deflect it. So we're here, and I come this way. Now we'll talk about the footwork in a minute. Don't be distracted by that right now. One, this is starting to deflect the arm out at the same time that this starts to help it. Now, your leg steps in such a way, the way I like to feel and think about this is that I'm feeding his leg to my leg. So as I turn his arms, I'm throwing, when you practice, it looks like I'm throwing my leg into it. But what I'm feeling with a human opponent is I'm throwing his leg into my leg. He's sliding across. So setting up sweeps, setting up a protective position to protect your groin. So from here, as I'm circling here, this hand has come up and has moved across. Now, as my circling hand either does this palm strike or this palm strike, this arm is creating friction by my elbow sucking in and pulling the arm towards pulling the elbow in. That creates friction on the dummy. You can see the dummy actually tilt. I'm creating pressure by squeezing in, dropping my center down into my stance, and that creates a pulling effect. It's not the best pulling effect in the world, but all it really needs to do is to have the correct energy to deflect his energy down and low. So from here, watch this hand as it comes up, it slides back. I'm leaving out the palm strike because this gets in the way. So I do them all at once. The leg is part of it, each arm is part of it. Now I happen to hit on top of the arm. The actual sequence for JKD set 4.3 is as follows. I'm squared up to the dummy. I could be out here. I just finished in my last sequence, if you recall. I just finished doing something like that, right? Well, my very next motion is to twist my body and come in on this side. Then I go into the first iteration, which will have a sliding palm strike under his arm. Then another one. Now watch my legs switch. Oh, I did it wrong. My hand should have slid under the arm. Let me do that again. Then the next two times, I hit above the arm as I jutsu. So I hope that makes sense. This is very hard to teach just through video. It really helps to see you as you're doing it. So I'll do that sequence from here all the way through. Now I messed it up. Let me do that again. This particular set likes you to go low first with each hit. Generally, when I practice, I go high first with each hit. This is memorization. I don't know that it really matters. My preference is to go here first, and then to go low. So I have to think hard for the sequence I'm showing you to go low first, right? But that's good. It's good to challenge your patterns that you burn into your brain. Make sure as you go back and watch this, you'll notice what's happening with the leg, all right? Once I finish the last one, I'm simply going to come back out and set myself for the next part of the flow. And I hope that's fairly clear. This is a hard section to teach. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you have a question. I'm Jeff Westfall, and that was JKD 4.3.